Timo Hildenbrand, the author of this 2010 diploma thesis at the Hamburg University of Applied Sciences, or Hamburg, studied social work within the Faculty of Business and Social Sciences. His academic and personal interests appear deeply rooted in alternative lifestyles, communal living, and cultural anthropology. Hildenbrand's research on the rainbow family of living light grew out of direct personal experience. He first encountered members of the community while traveling and later participated in their European gatherings in Serbia, 2008, and Ukraine, 2009. This immersive engagement shaped his ethnographic approach, blending participant observation, interviews, and cultural analysis. His writing reflects both scholarly rigor and empathetic curiosity, seeking to understand subcultural movements not as social anomalies but as meaningful experiments in peace, ecological awareness, and human solidarity. The thesis demonstrates Hildenbrand's orientation toward humanistic, inclusive, and experiential forms of social work, emphasizing the potential of communal models like the rainbow family to inspire social transformation. This thesis, titled The Rainbow Family of Living Light and Their Gatherings, a descriptive study of a subculture and its relevance as a social movement, Timo Hildenbrand, Hamburg University of Applied Sciences, 2010, is an in-depth sociological exploration of the rainbow family, an international, non-hierarchical community known for organizing rainbow gatherings. These gatherings unite people from around the world around principles of peace, equality, environmental respect, and communal living. The author combines personal field research, based on participant observation and interviews at the 2009 European Gathering in Ukraine, with theoretical frameworks on culture, subculture, and social movements. The study describes the rainbow family's core values: nonviolence, solidarity, simplicity, respect for nature, norms, no money, no hierarchy, no technology or drugs, and cultural symbols, rituals, circles, the talking stick, and the greeting welcome home. Hildenbrand situates the group within the lineage of countercultural and ecological movements from the 1960s onward and examines its social significance, particularly its alignment with principles of social work, such as inclusion, self-determination, and equality. Ultimately, the work argues that the rainbow family represents a living example of peaceful, sustainable, and community-oriented alternatives to mainstream society, offering insights valuable to social work and humanistic education. In the introduction, Timo Hildenbrand presents the rainbow family of living light as a worldwide, non-hierarchical community that gathers regularly in nature to live temporally according to values of peace, equality, simplicity, and ecological respect. These rainbow gatherings welcome people of all backgrounds, regardless of nationality, gender, religion, or social class, under the principle of living lightly, meaning to leave minimal impact on the environment. Originating in the early 1970s from the American hippie and peace movements, the rainbow family rejects formal leadership, membership, and money, instead organizing itself through consensus and voluntary cooperation. Hildenbrand explains that his fascination with this alternative form of community living began through personal encounters and led him to study the group ethnographically. The introduction establishes the central goal of the thesis, to describe the rainbow family as a subculture and explore its relevance as a social movement, particularly in relation to the values of social work and social change. The section Culture and Subculture lays the theoretical foundation for understanding the rainbow family by defining key sociological concepts of culture and its components. Hildenbrand explains culture as the totality of human-created ways of living, both material, objects, tools, infrastructure, and immaterial, values, norms, knowledge, symbols, and language. Values represent shared ideas of what is desirable, norms define acceptable behavior, knowledge includes both practical and spiritual understanding, symbols and language give meaning and cohesion to a community. The author then introduces the idea of subcultures, groups within a larger society that develop distinct lifestyles, beliefs, or identities, often in response to dissatisfaction with mainstream norms. He categorizes subcultures such as protest and dropout cultures, and highlights post-World War II examples like the Beat Generation, hippies, and San Francisco diggers, which emphasized autonomy, anti-materialism, and communal living. This framework prepares the reader to view the rainbow family as a continuation of these countercultural traditions, representing an alternative cultural model that challenges conventional societal values. Social movements explores how collective human actions arise from shared motivations to bring about social change. Hildenbrand outlines the sociological definitions of social movements as organized, goal-oriented responses to perceived crises or injustices, drawing on thinkers like Weber, Blumer, and Ruscht. He explains that individual frustration with societal conditions can evolve into collective action once people recognize common interests and coordinate efforts. Using Blumer's typology, He distinguishes between different crowd behaviors: casual, conventional, expressive, and acting crowds, with the latter forming the basis for social movements. The author traces the historical development of both old social movements, for example, labor, women's rights, and new social movements, for example, peace, environmental, and alternative movements, showing how the latter emphasize personal transformation, ecology, and non-violence. Hildenbrand concludes that subcultures often serve as breeding grounds for social movements, as both express dissatisfaction with mainstream systems and experiment with alternative ways of living, providing a conceptual bridge for understanding the rainbow family as both a cultural and activist phenomenon. In the section Empirical Study, The Rainbow Family, Hildenbrand presents his field research conducted at the 2009 European Rainbow Gathering in Ukraine, using participant observation and 40 qualitative interviews with longtime participants, elders, and organizers, focalizers. The study explores the community's immaterial culture, focusing on shared values, norms, knowledge, symbols, and language. Core values include peace, respect for all life, equality, solidarity, and self-determination, while norms emphasize nonviolence, rejection of money and technology, and communal decision-making. The gatherings feature structured practices such as the food circle, communal meals, councils, consensus-based discussions, workshops, and the children's area, all reinforcing community cohesion. Symbolic elements like the talking stick, circle rituals, and the welcome home greeting embody inclusion and unity. Despite the lack of formal hierarchy, the gatherings are highly organized through voluntary cooperation and shared responsibility. Hildenbrand concludes that these cultural elements and social dynamics illustrate how the rainbow family functions as a self-sustaining, egalitarian micro-society that enacts its ideals of peace, simplicity, and community in practice. In methodology, the author explains the qualitative research approach he used to study the rainbow family, emphasizing participant observation and semi-structured interviews as his primary methods. He attended the 2009 European Rainbow Gathering in Ukraine for several weeks, immersing himself in the community's daily life to observe behaviors, rituals, and interactions firsthand. This ethnographic approach allowed him to experience the group's culture from within while maintaining analytical distance. He conducted 18 interviews with focalizers, participants responsible for specific functional areas such as cooking, medicine, or tipi construction, and 22 interviews with elders, long-term members familiar with the movement's history, values, and traditions. To guide these conversations, he developed a catalogue of key questions focusing on the community's principles, motivations, and social impact. Additionally, he transcribed an example of a council discussion, illustrating the decision-making process. Through these combined methods, Hildenbrand sought to gain a comprehensive understanding of the rainbow family's cultural structures, shared values, and organizational dynamics as they manifested in practice during the gathering. Cultural Elements of the Rainbow Family analyzes the key aspects of the rainbow family's immaterial culture, applying sociological concepts of values, norms, knowledge, symbols, and language to his field observations. He identifies core values such as respect for all life, equality, nonviolence, hospitality, community spirit, and autonomy, many inherited from earlier countercultures like the hippies, beats, and diggers. Norms within the gatherings include absolute nonviolence, rejection of money and commercial exchange, avoidance of drugs and technology, and respect for the natural environment. Knowledge is transmitted communally and includes practical survival and ecological skills like fire-making, water purification, and sustainable living. The rainbow family also employs symbols that embody unity and spirituality, such as forming a circle during communal meals, using the talking stick to ensure respectful communication, and lighting a central fire during the full moon to mark the gathering's climax. Finally, language functions as a unifying tool. English serves as a lingua franca, but inclusive, affectionate speech, brother, sister. Welcome home, reinforces the sense of belonging. Through these cultural elements, Hildenbrand shows how the rainbow family creates and maintains a peaceful, egalitarian micro-society grounded in shared meaning, mutual respect, and ecological consciousness. Communal Life and Structures provides a detailed account of how everyday life is organized within the rainbow gatherings, illustrating how the community's ideals are practiced through structure, cooperation, and shared responsibility. Central to communal living is the food circle, where all participants gather twice daily to eat together, reinforcing unity and equality. Everyone contributes to cooking, serving, or cleaning. Numerous workshops and projects emerge spontaneously, covering topics like spirituality, music, ecology, philosophy, martial arts, and child education, offering informal spaces for learning and exchange. The children's area, also called Kids Village, provides a safe, family-oriented zone with its own kitchen, playgrounds, and shared childcare responsibilities, reflecting the community's protective and nurturing ethos. Hildenbrand also describes communication systems adapted to the technology-free setting. Horns and vocal calls announce events like councils or meals, and ritualized greetings such as welcome home express inclusion and warmth. Councils serve as the primary decision-making bodies, where participants sit in circles to discuss issues and reach consensus using symbolic tools like the talking stick. Altogether, these practices demonstrate how the rainbow family transforms abstract principles, like equality, cooperation, and peace, into concrete social organization, sustaining a functional, self-regulating, and deeply communal way of life. In summary of cultural findings, Hildenbrand synthesizes his research results by outlining the main cultural and social features that define the rainbow family and its gatherings. He concludes that the community represents a distinct cultural system built on immaterial values such as peace, tolerance, equality, solidarity, and respect for life, which are expressed through specific norms, nonviolence, the rejection of money and technology, and the prohibition of drugs. The rainbow family's knowledge base includes both practical and social competencies essential for self-sufficiency and cooperative living, such as cooking, hygiene, and conflict resolution. Their symbols and signs, like handmade maps, signs, and the talking stick, promote communication and order in a non-hierarchical environment, while the use of language, primarily English but also multilingual, fosters inclusivity and connection among participants from diverse backgrounds. Hildenbrand emphasizes that daily practices, shared meals, councils, workshops, and projects, are not merely logistical necessities but reinforce collective identity and cooperation. Altogether, these elements create a temporary yet functioning micro-society that embodies the rainbow family's core ideals of community, equality, environmental mindfulness, and peaceful coexistence, demonstrating how alternative cultural values can be lived and sustained in practice. Classification of the rainbow family situates the rainbow family within broader sociological frameworks of subculture and social movement. As a subculture, the group is characterized by its distinct lifestyle, shared values, and symbolic practices that diverge from mainstream society, emphasizing simplicity, nonviolence, community, and ecological respect rather than competition, materialism, or hierarchy. Its members consciously reject dominant cultural norms, creating instead a self-sustaining, egalitarian, and spiritually oriented alternative culture. At the same time, the rainbow family exhibits features of a social movement, particularly in its connection to the peace, environmental, and alternative movements that emerged in the 1960s and 1970s. Unlike protest-based movements that seek change through confrontation, the rainbow family promotes transformation through example and lived practice, modeling cooperation, sustainability, and mutual respect as tools for social change. Hildenbrand concludes that the rainbow family can be viewed as a quiet yet persistent alternative movement, alternative Bougon, that challenges societal structures not by opposition but by demonstrating a viable, peaceful way of coexisting with others and with nature. In the section Relevance for Social Work, Hildenbrand explores how the values and practices of the rainbow family align with, and can inform, contemporary social work and pedagogy. He argues that the gathering's emphasis on equality, participation, empathy, and ecological awareness closely mirrors the humanistic principles of social work, respect for human dignity, social justice, and empowerment. In particular, he highlights the potential educational and developmental benefits for children and youth who engage with such environments, noting how nature-based, community-oriented experiences can foster self-confidence, social competence, creativity, and environmental responsibility. The rainbow family's practices, like cooperative living, voluntary participation, and inclusive communication, serve as experiential models for promoting solidarity and non-hierarchical interaction. Hildenbrand suggests that social work could integrate similar approaches, especially in eco-pedagogical and alternative youth projects, to strengthen social bonds and ecological consciousness. He concludes that the rainbow family demonstrates how core values of social work, tolerance, equality, and respect, can be lived out authentically in communal settings, offering inspiration for both practice and theory in the field. In the conclusion, Timo Hildenbrand reflects that the rainbow family of living light exemplifies a living experiment in peace, equality, and ecological harmony, embodying many of the same humanitarian ideals that underpin social work. His research shows that the rainbow gatherings function as temporary micro-societies where cooperation, mutual respect, and inclusion replace competition, hierarchy, and materialism. These gatherings provide participants, regardless of background, with a sense of belonging, self-worth, and communal responsibility, demonstrating how alternative forms of social organization can nurture personal growth and collective well-being. Hildenbrand concludes that the rainbow family's values, nonviolence, solidarity, respect for diversity, and sustainability, are not utopian fantasies but practically realized principles that could inspire social workers, educators, and community builders. By showing that social cohesion and equality can be achieved through voluntary collaboration and empathy, the Rainbow Family offers a tangible model for fostering social change and promoting the core mission of social work: human dignity, justice, and inclusion.